Hey guys, it's Mrs. Welts again. I decided I was going to do a video about landscapes. For those of you who have had me in class, we did a lot of mountain landscapes this year, and we were inspired by the artist Aranyi. So I'm going to show some of that again, and you can always make your own, put your own flair on it. You don't have to do a mountain. You can do a beach, you can do a forest, you can do whatever landscape you want. A few simple things to talk about before I get started. When you do a landscape, you want to make sure you have a foreground, which is the closest thing to you, a middle ground, which is the middle, and a background, which is the furthest away. So if you notice, I have a tiny little tree back here. He's the furthest away, so he's smaller, and this tree gets a little bit bigger, and the one in the foreground is a lot bigger. We have our horizon line here and our mountains, and this will eventually be our sky way back there. Here's kind of a glimpse of what it might look like when you're finished. I used watercolor in my background. You could use markers, crayons, anything you have around the house. So if you need to change your supplies to fit what you have at home, that's perfectly fine. First, I started with a paper plate. You can grab a plate from your cupboard or whatever you have to make a circle. If you don't want to make a circle, you don't have to, but I just think it looks neat. See? So I'm going to take my pencil and trace the circle. Okay, next I draw my horizon line down the middle of my page, or middle of my circle here. I like to do my mountains first, so kind of draw my jagged line across the page there, and I'll Sharpie this so you can see a little bit better. Okay, there's my mountains, there's my horizon line, and next I like to kind of just draw like a swirly line going down to my foreground. Like I said, your foreground is the closest thing to you, so you're going to draw your larger pine tree down at the bottom of your paper, and maybe a little medium-sized pine tree in the middle, and a tiny little pine tree back here in the background. Okay, let me flip it around so you can see. All right, and now I'm going to give my mountain some depth, so I'm going to kind of go up from the top of a mountain, go down and back up into the valley of the mountain. Then I'm going to take my Sharpie and do some diagonal straight lines to kind of show that depth and that value so that it looks like my mountains are popping off the page. You can also do some texture by putting some lines off of your mountains to kind of make it look like snow or the rock is going a certain direction. And next I'm going to do the background with some watercolor. And if you remember from this year, we talked about wet on wet, which is when you get your wet paintbrush full of water and you just wet down your paper first. Okay, and then you grab your colors and you kind of just dot around that wet paper, and it kind of spreads out on its own. Okay, so I did some orange, I might do some red, kind of just let it go wherever it wants. Swirl it around. Okay, and maybe a little yellow. Okay, All right, and you can choose to color with whatever else you want on the rest of it. And I'll just kind of show you, that's what my sky looks like. And that is your lesson on landscapes today. Thanks for watching. See ya.